Hey guys. Alright, so welcome to RD232. This is going to be our first lecture. What I'm going to be covering in here real quick is a bit more theory. So just kind of follow along visually. We don't worry about anything for now as far as working with Photoshop. Once I'm done with this, should be pretty short, we will come back and I will do kind of more a lecture on what's going on in Photoshop here. So the first thing I want to talk about is what a pixel is. That's what Photoshop operates in, and I think it's important to talk about the basic unit of every program and what it is that we're going to be using to kind of make whatever the tool we're using is. So understanding what that basic unit for this program is in Photoshop means that we're going to be working with pixels. And so I have a pixel right here. You can see it's this little tiny square. A pixel is always going to be a square, and images are made up of an array of pixels. And what a pixel does is it stores a color channel or color code within it. So you can see right here I've got this pixel, and then up here in this menu I have a color code. Um, Photoshop generally operates among 4 different color channels. So we have RGB here, we have HSB here, we have CMYK here, and we have lab sliders. Um, Web color is basically just going to be RGB with letter codes as hexadecimal. Not important for you guys to know that. Um, and each of these channels, the red, green, and blue, as you increase them, or sorry, as you decrease them, let me swing them all back this way, and it becomes more obvious. So as you increase red, this becomes more red. As you increase green, it becomes more green. Fairly simple how that process works, right? And so when we're working with this, we're going to be using tools to apply colors to those pixels. There's more things involved in Photoshop, and generally it involves layering, making pixels transparent, having filters, and layers interacting with each other. But at the end of the day, you end up with a final image that creates a series of pixels, an array of pixels like that. So the other thing I want to talk about, and let me just kind of set this up real quick. So I have my pixel right here. I've just made it this blue color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase this so that I have a, let's do 3 by 3. All right. So I now have 3 pixels here. You can see that visually nothing changed there. And if I select this one area right here in the middle and make it black, you can see that it's still very perfectly outlined and defined right there. So those pixels each have that very specific spot of this pixel is this color, this pixel is this color, and it does that for all 9 of them. Now, if I bump this up to something much larger, you can see that when that happened, we still have an array of pixels, but that center one is no longer cleanly defined, okay? So when you're working with media in Photoshop, it's important to remember that you want to start large and then come down from there. Otherwise, you end up with lossy data. And once you kind of lose data in Photoshop, it's hard to get it back. So again, I'm still here at this 30 pixel by 30 pixel image, and I've just drawn this black area in here in the middle. And if I actually take this back down to a 9 by 9, you can see that it's still relatively close, but it's not as bad as what happened when I went from the small to the very large. So if I step that back a couple jumps, you can see that that one's kind of a hot mess where it looks like, for all we know, I had a circle in the center there. So when you're working in Photoshop, always just remember, try to start at approximately the size of your output image, and we'll work from that, and then try to come down a little bit as you need. But you never want to start small and then work your way up, okay? So again, pixels going to be our basic unit, and what we're going to be working with is a color channel on those pixels. But we're going to be doing it in a way where it's impractical to do it 1 pixel at a time. So we'll be using tools that kind of let us get around that. All right, so that's this lecture. I will see you guys in the next one.